Okay guys, got a rare treat for you today. I'm going to be talking to one of the best professional traders I know. Let's roll the intro and I'll tell you all about it. And a warm welcome to this special episode of Coffee with Scruff. And definitely get your coffee, sit back and enjoy this. The man that I'm about to speak to literally needs no introduction. Mr. Steve Ruffley. He's been around the markets forever, and if there's anything about trading, this man knows it. What he doesn't know, you can write on the back of a postage stamp. And what he's done is he's put a pen to paper and he's wrote a second book, and we're going to have a little chat about it. Let's jump into this. So as I said, boys and girls, the man needs no introduction, Mr. Steve Ruffley. How are you doing, Steve?
I'm good, Gary. How are you?
Living the dream. Benidorm was a nightmare. I know you said I would be wrecked. You were right. I was.
Well, it's not easy. It's not that hard to predict the future in that one, is it?
Not
boys abroad. Boys abroad.
But
well, you can do the crime, but not the time. I find it's the recovery, isn't
it? Just a bit. To take me 3 days to recover. But what we brought you in today is really, I'd rather have just a candid chat with you rather than just go through what's your time frame, what's your tick charts, all that sort of thing. Just who you are as a trader and where you come and how you got to where you are today. Are you happy to be candid?
You know me, mate. I couldn't be any other way if I tried.
Know you.
I'm from Bolton, mate. No nonsense.
But for people who've lived under a rock for the last decade and not heard of Steve Ruffley, can I wind you back to when you were a young man? Because your tagline, be right at the right time, is almost a forerunner for you coming into the industry, because you were in the right place at the right time and saw some nice car. And then away you go. Can you remember this? Because I love this.
I do. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I think, the world is what you make it. So, yeah, I mean, there's again, obviously, I'm here to talk about the book a little bit, but obviously my story, I go through that my journey and all that kind of stuff. And when you're a certain type of person, things are important. So when you're younger and a bloke, things impress you. Yeah. And, that is a form of motivation. So when you see things like that and then you talk to people and you see how they do it, I mean, you have to remember back in the day, I didn't know anything about trading. I mean, the closest I got to understanding trading was one of the first and only real jobs I've ever had, real job, was for PricewaterhouseCoopers. And that was placing investments. So I got to understand, how you place an investment, sending the checks off and that kind of stuff. Then you see, kind of the commission checks coming back, and then you see like the amounts of money these people hold. And I'm kind of like, all right, I should probably know more about that. But then when I kind of moved to Gibraltar, it wasn't that I was going to move to Gibraltar to be a trader. It just happened so that I happened to meet some traders, and they were setting a floor up out there. And then, as I say, I met these guys, and they seemed the real deal. They had the flash cars and that kind of stuff. I'm like, what do you guys do? And it's like, well, we're traders. I'm like, I need to be that. And it's not because I wanted to necessarily be a trader. It's like I wanted the end result. I wanted the things, things that are attributed with success. So, yeah, I mean, basically from there, when I kind of did an interview with these guys, I got into this grad program. At that time, it was Revco. So Revco, was still a big deal. I mean, I think the Man Financial now or Marex. I mean, there was a whole story behind the Revco thing that there's no point going into. But yeah, I got sent to London. And I guess, like the way I say it in the book is it was almost like an early version of The Apprentice. It was everyone was fighting for the place to get back to this prop firm. And if you failed, you got fired, and people did. So it was as real as that. And I think the kind of resounding thing that I kind of got from that, a lot of time, effort, and money was put into understanding trading, understanding the markets. And, you just get thrown into this literal pit. It was one of the original flaws. I mean, there was, people like Braveheart, some monster traders on the floor, and you're some young bloke from Bolton with 6 screens all of a sudden. And, it's kind of like, now you make money. And it's, well, how much? Much as you can. What do I do? You just trade. you make money. So that's the kind of thing that was missing and I found difficult is there was no kind of mentor. There was just kind of like, here's all the tools, here's all the information, here's the place to be. You know, like if you'd ever been, you know, walked up the escalators up, you know, into Liverpool Street and you'd seen the things I'd seen, it's kind of like for someone who's motivated by money, which I 100% was at the time, and, you know, to a certain extent still am, and you're sitting in this theater of dreams almost, it's kind of like, it's not hard to motivate you to want to do it. But then also nobody ever and never will, and this is kind of why I'm, you know, I've written the book the way I have, no one's going to tell you how to make money.
Yeah.
Okay, so the making the money part is down to you. People think there are all these rules in trading, and you have to do X, Y, and Z. When you're a professional trader on the floor, the rules are you turn up to trade, that's what you do, and you make as much money as you can in the quickest time possible and try and go home with it. Yeah, you've got a risk department behind you, and they'll stop you out when you lose X amount of money. And when you lose X amount of money overall, you're gone. But you're there to trade, you're there to make money. So the rules, the retail traders are almost drummed into, don't really exist in the pro world. So that's my whole point of how I started to learn to trade and how I started to progress. And again, I do go through this in the book, how I kind of went on my journey. But like everything in life, Gary, you know, like be careful what you wish for because you might get it. And nothing has ever turned out exactly the way I thought in life. You know, you can
lessons.
Yeah, I mean, you can visualize things as much as you want. And, you know, you can want things as much as you want. But it doesn't mean when you get it, A, it's what you think it is. And B, you know, if you can actually do it. So, yeah, the pro kind of journey I spent was pretty difficult. And, you know, it was part of my learning curve of figuring out what I really wanted and what was important to me and also how I was going to do it. So, yeah, have I been out in an afternoon and someone's bought a new Lambo? Yeah, I've done that. Did I do it? No, I didn't. I never got to be the trader in the pro world I thought I was. So when I came and did things my way and came off the floor and did things, you know, from a very personal perspective, very introvert, you know, again, I say in the book, I'm a lone wolf. I needed to prove to nobody but myself that I could do what I wanted to do. And yeah, you know, that obviously it did take time. You know, you don't just come off and smash it, you know, but you get to a point where you get that belief in yourself and you get the understanding of what you can achieve and you get used to pressing that button with bigger numbers. And yeah, people will never get to that point. I understand that in trading, you know, people are afraid of size. People are afraid of leverage. People are afraid of risk.
Sorry to sort of jump in, but when you're at a professional level and you're looking at your retail level, you're sitting on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you think you ever get used to the pressure when it gets higher? Like certain people are built for it and certain people are they're never going to make it because they can't handle the stress.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very good point, and that happens with the pro level too. I think the way I describe it in the book is when you meet people, there are certain people that have it.
Yeah.
Okay, we've all met those people that have it. You can't quite put your finger on what is, but some people have it. And that's a combination, I say, not of arrogance, but be able to trust your gut, trust who you are, make decisions based on what you believe. And speaking to different people of all across different, you know, kind of professions, you know, some very high level people that I know and also traders. It's very hard for people to pinpoint if you're born with it or you create a version of it. I don't think I was born with it. I think it's a combination of what I've done and forcing myself to accept my limitations and also what I can achieve. So I have a version of it. I created it. I wasn't born a trader, I don't think. I'm born with a personality. All right, I get that. But that doesn't necessarily translate into success. You know, I'm not Peter Kay. You know, I'm not Ricky Gervais. You know, I'm not going to make my money from comedy. So, yeah, I think...
I don't know, I've read your Twitter feed.
True. Well, I actually did a tweet and said who would play me in the movie. And it was Peter Kay, which you get the Button accent, Jason Manford or something, never even heard of him. It was all comedians. And then someone said Daniel Craig. I'm like, well, I'll take Daniel Craig. But, you know, Peter Kay, come on. I was thinking, you know, Brad Pitt, you know, Leonardo DiCaprio, obviously. But, I mean, I guess you've got to have, I do have a dark sense of humor. You've got to have a humor and be able to laugh at yourself in everything you do. And that can get you through, you know, the hard times and not taking yourself too seriously. But yeah, for me, I think you're exactly right. There are people that can handle the pressure, people that want to take the pressure. And I think that my biggest kind of draw or my biggest kind of quality as a trader, my ability to take short-term pain. I will take the pain. If I know what I'm going to get out of the trade, I will take extreme pain because I know the reward's there. But you can only take that in very few types of trading scenarios. And that's really what I talk about when I'm scalping. And again, I don't want to kind of go through the entire book because, as I said before, people read the Rough Guide to Trading and said, well, don't watch his videos. Don't spend 25 quid in a book. It's like, right, but if you want to know what I know, what I've been through, spend the money, buy the book. I'm not a charity.
No.
Well, I am. If you meet my entourage, I look like a charity sometimes.
You give a lot more than what you say. You do. You should take credit for it because you do give a lot to the trading world. And
it's very, very kind of you to say.
No,
well, the thing is, I don't charge. I don't have courses. I'll speak to anyone, give them my time. If I think, I can help them. And that's it. I can't control what the book costs because, that's published. So that's it. So I don't charge for time. I give my charts away for free. These things don't owe me anything. I'm always happy to talk to traders. And, one of the skills I have is getting a read of people very quickly from a personal level. Once you understand people from a personal level, you can then understand what trader and what kind of attributes of trading that I understand, not from my own experience, but from mentoring, risk managing, what might be, helpful to them. Not to say it will always work, but I mean, at the end of the day, I've been doing this stuff for a long time, so if I've tried it, at least you got the benefit if I tell you if it works or not. And that's really just what I'm about. Twitter's changed a lot. Yeah, you follow me. I love a rant. I love just talking about what I think. I don't talk about trading much because, all my feed now is just generic trading quotes, from people that have been trading for 5 years and, they've achieved X and they just do some, generic tweet about trading. I don't want to be that person. That's never really what I've been about. I just like to talk. Spend a lot of time on my own. So if I'm not tweeting, I'm talking to the dogs. Well, so it's, it's just an escape.
When you were on the floor, do you miss that? Where you've got the guys around you that you can talk to, or do you prefer it just in your own little study? And you can just sort of go, well, I've had enough today, I'm going.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, as well, when I was a trader on the floor, I didn't have any money, mate. I was backed. Yeah. That was someone's bitch. That's very hard for me to take. So for a person like me, no, I would go back now, being who I am now. Yeah, I'd love that, mate. You go in for a couple of hours, you go on with the boys. But the trouble with traders is they only want to talk about trading. So I've done quite a bit of that with traders. And as you get a little bit older, the stories, you've heard them all before. So yeah, there's elements I would miss, and there's elements being who I am now, I would like to go back. But I mean, at the end of the day, I think we all generally get the life we want or deserve. Yeah. So being on my own, being older now, having a kid, I'm semi-rural now, live in the country. Would I want to go back to the city? I'd like to be teleported in there, mate, for a night. It's like you did with Benidorm. I could do a night, maybe not a week. I could do a night.
Well, we did a week and it killed me.
Well, that's the thing, mate.
No, you're right. And I can see that. I live in the middle of nowhere as well, and it's lovely. It's peaceful.
Yeah.
But I find in trading, it's a very lonely existence.
It's a massively lonely existence. And that's really why, I did the education, and I did it for so long, even though even I, knew I was repeating myself and, just got sick of talking about Elliott Wave and Fibonacci. But it gave me interaction with other traders. And from that, I spoke to people. Quite a lot of people I mentor are still friends, online friends, because no one lives in New Zealand. So yeah, I get to talk to people. That's how I met you, through that kind of stuff. So it's nice to be able to dip in and speak to other people. But ultimately, essentially, yeah, you're on your own and you live and die by your sword. You're as good as your last trade. All these cliche things people say. But I've been doing it a long time, and I'm used to the kind of the kind of more solitary nature of trading, and it's just something you have to live with. I don't think this whole when you start, the floor's good because there's people around you, some in the same situation, some people you can look up to, some people you can learn from, some people you want to just stay well clear of. But that's just like everything in life, isn't it? I think for me, trading's all about proving what I can do. So I didn't ever want to measure myself against other people. And I met traders, you know, to this day that I learned from, and traders that will be better than me, always be better than me. And that's not a bad thing to be around those people. But then when you're someone like me who wants to achieve for themselves, and yeah, you do have a bit of an ego, which you do have to keep in check. But you're thinking, where's my Ferrari? You know, where's my X? Where's my Y? And that can put undue pressure on you that, for me, you just don't need. So I have all those things now. That doesn't really matter. But you can say things don't matter, possessions don't matter when you have them. No, it's everything. I think is a journey, and we all, as traders and people, go on a similar type of journey. So the floor was a unique place to learn, get the bug, and to kind of see what is actually possible, what other people are really doing, and see it work. And then all you've got to do is fill in the blanks and do it for yourself. So as I say, I got to a level that I'm happy with, of where I've got to my trading. And, you know, yes, I will never be the top, the best floor trader there is. I'm never going to get there. I would have done it by now if I had. But I'm somewhere firmly in the middle. Like I say in the book, I'm all right. I don't have to worry about much, to be honest. I'm okay. And I have to be content to a certain point with that.
As long as you get a salary and you're happy with the salary. That's the way I look at it. You know,
I mean, that's the way I look at it too.
But it's a very well-paid job because I'm actually time rich. If I want to go play golf, I can. You know, it's not like I've got to be in till 5 o'clock here. I can't go. Well, I can. I can be done in just
exactly.
Way.
Yeah, hashtag time billionaire. You know, I have more time than I know what to do with. But that's just the way it goes. You know, I'm in New Zealand, so my days are free. But yeah, I might have to trade through the night sometimes. But it is what it is. My whole philosophy in trading has always been, you know, size versus money and time. You know, that's what it is. I want to make the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time. And then, you know, you can pack up and call it a day. And I do see it more of a, you know, I don't just keep building accounts until infinity and then sit back like Scrooge McDuck and, you know, kind of swim through the virtual money. I do use it, you know, I make money and I spend money. I like spending money. You know, I have projects that motivate me. I built a house. So that was a clear thing. I want money to do this, money to do that. At the end of the year, you know, pay your tax, pay yourself, and then the next year's a new year. So what I'm talking about with the book and the pro retail trader is, if you want to do this for a living and make some money, you know, yeah, you have to invest some time at the start, like any kind of business. And, you know, you can pay yourself however you want. But, you know, this isn't like, oh, I make £1,000 a day. So that's 20 grand a month, $250,000 a year. Never really works out like that for most people. So you've got to kind of be aware of the peaks and troughs, you know, the periods where you make money or lose money. But I think what always astounds me is that people want to talk in different terminology. It's almost like people talking investing terminology. I'm not an investor. I'm a trader. So I talk about money because money is real. I make money. I take it out of the markets, take it on my account and spend it. It's real. Okay. So when you talk about, you know, building an account, you know, the compounding effect and that kind of stuff, you get to a point where you're not going to be able to use the size. If you get an account to a big enough size, you're not going to be able to use that in the markets anyway. You know, it gets to a point where you can't simply keep scaling up, you know, because you don't have the ability, especially on a retail platform. They'll tell you they can take whatever size, you know, you can handle, but they can't. You know, I'm not big enough on a retail broker to move the market, but I've moved brokers, moved their book plenty of times. Wow. So it gets to a point where the size becomes a bit of a hindrance, you know, and I've kind of found my limit of size, which I'm happy to use. I've found my tolerance of risk, which I'm happy to use. And I've found, you know, I don't trade the markets to make 50 or 100 quid. It's never been worth my time. I only want to make thousands of pounds. And that's what I do. So I don't trade unless I see the opportunities. I don't trade unless I can get those kind of returns. And I'm willing to put the risk into that. I'm willing to time in that. And yeah, a lot of trading, you know, you sat on your hands waiting for opportunities. But I'm going to sit in front of a screen for 8 hours a day. You know, we've got technology now. You can set alerts. You've got your phone. My office is always here. I'm generally always in the house. You know, if I pop out and I miss something, that's it. You know, it doesn't matter. You know, there'll be another opportunity. So for me, again, I've made trading work around my life and made trading work for me. But the only way I've been able to do that is a combination of size and time.
No, I agree with you. I totally agree with you wholeheartedly. But when you're talking about the technology and everything's coming in, are you seeing a massive change recently in the trading space to what it was years ago? because you've got AI coming in now, and everybody has information that can just click of a button, they've got it. So is retail changing rapidly? Maybe it's too rapidly?
I mean, I think the world is changing, and there's a very important chapter 13 about all this. You know, I've talked about in tweets about the narrative and how that is changing the world and this kind of stuff. So yeah, I have seen it change. I mean, the thing is with all technology and all things, AI, is it going to turn out to be what people think? Probably not. But AI, if it does exist to whatever extent they're telling us now, it's already in the markets. It's the perfect place to put it in the markets. If you've got something that has an edge over humans, you know, you have to remember when I worked on the floor, mate, I was running the floors. There were the rooms even I wasn't allowed to go into. And that's years back, you know, these grey boxes, black boxes. There's always people with money, always people with an edge looking to get something out of it. So I would say if AI that we see is at this level, there's probably an AI at this level run by the same people that run everything that's already in the markets. But yeah, I've seen a massive change in how sentiment is viewed. My 80-20 rule, no longer anymore. After 10 years, that's gone. That's had to be amended again. So that's all in the book. Yeah, I've seen a big change over the last 10 years of how markets react to news, data, how retail is squeezed. And we have to remember as well, I'm always trying to just take retail money. I just want to be, you know, slightly better than retail. You know, I don't have direct market access. I'm still trading on a retail broker. I have the same tools as anybody else out there. There's no edge from that. My only edge is having, you know, my tolerance for pain, my risk, you know, having the massive bolt and balls and doing things that some people, you know, are just not willing to do.
Yeah, but if you're talking risk, because I'm an advocate of DCA, dollar cost averaging. I'll go backwards into a trade small to come forwards.
Yep.
But I have a hard stop. You do have bolt and balls, because I've seen your trade and you don't have a stop. You just go, right, that's it. I'm going in. No one's telling me what to do. And then you get as much out of it as you can. But do you already have a good idea of how far that's going to go deep into the market so that it's not really bolt and balls. It's just an informed choice of what I'm going to do.
I mean, the thing is, I like to trade in specific ways. You know, so again, I explain this in the book, and you know, you have to remember, I'm not telling anybody to trade like me.
No.
This isn't a guide.
It's just more from your psychology point of view. You trust what you're going to do.
Well, I trust myself, and what I'm trying to preempt is that I'm trying to preempt the market approaching levels and how the market is going to make other people react. So I'm never trying to beat the big money. I want to use the big money. So I like it when the big money enters, when you see the spikes, when you see the paper money coming in. And I want that to stop people out. And I'm prepared, and I do things that, people aren't going to like. I negatively average, you know, with bigger size. So I want my biggest size to be the exact extreme of the market. So I've got to go in early with smaller size and build it up. And then I'm looking for that pullback. So that's one specific type of trade I do. And I will use a lot of size. And I mean, the thing is, when you put in on big size, as you know, with the retail broker, you're paying a spread. So you're clipping, hundreds of lots as the market goes against you. That risk is going to be there for a very short period of time. And people say that's too much risk. As the market pulls back and the average comes back, that's how you make your money. So you can't do them trades all the time. They have to be in very specific instances of how the market's moving. So what I do is I identify how the market's moving and I apply the trade that I want to that particular move. So the risk is already embedded in that trade. And the thing is, it's very hard for me to explain or put, kind of exact numbers on things. And people hate that because they can't copy it, they can't quantify it. But I'm trading time and I'm trading experience. Some of the trades I do are essentially muscle memory. Okay, so I'm trading something I've seen and done before, expecting an outcome to happen. And I know I just need to put enough into the trade to get the desired outcome. So people hate this because they want to buy at a level with a 10-tick stop loss and it to go up. Okay, when I'm trading fast-moving markets or volatile moving markets, I've adapted my particular trade type and everything that goes with it into one thing. So that's what I do when this happens. When the market does something else, it's a completely different trade, a completely different setup. So it's having the ability to have traded the markets for long enough to understand what I want to do when something happens. So a lot of the time, you might just sit it out. Other times you'll see it, and I want to trade that. I know I'm going to have to take the pain because I know when you get these big, fast moves. And again, what people love to say, well, you know, the market's going up, buy it, Steve. Yeah, but I'd rather sell it and make 20, 30 pips on an average than buy it. And I've said them words to traders I've mentored and people in the risk room. I can't change the way I am, and that's what I've accepted. All I can do is trade what the markets are showing me, what the trade. I want to be reactionary, and to make those fast trades with big size, I need a certain type of movement. So if I've missed the movement, doesn't mean I can't still make money out of it. But that wasn't my trade in the first place, and that's a reactionary trade. And I don't always do reactionary trades, but when you're scalping, that's a natural thing to do. You see something, you react. Other trades, when you're holding them for longer periods of time, like my average trade, which is generally up to 2 hours, or a day trade was up to 8 hours, it's a different type of trade. Your trade's all about understanding where the market's going to go, where the scalp trade is all about the execution. If I execute in the right kind of area and I get the right kind of levels, I will generally, a high percentage make money. Is it risky? Yes. Is it the most efficient way to make money? I don't know. But when the size I use, I can make very good amounts of money in very quick periods of time. And, the main kind of way I do that is by taking pain and being able to trade in a specific way. You can't do it very often. It's not something you do every day. You have to look for the volatility. So a lot of my trades are matching what's happening in the markets and understanding what I've done in these situations over 20 years and just replicating it. So it isn't that hard when you split it down into these kind of things. X happens, I do Y. And that's all I do. Look at the charts, look at the movement, and I trade the trade that fits with my personality, my trading style, and then apply it to the market. So when you read it, people say, well, that's not that hard. It takes a long time to make a trading strategy simple. And it takes a long time to be able to do it the size I do. It's not something that happens overnight.
No, I certainly agree with that. Because trust me, I've got a sizable account, but your position sizes would scare me. They really would. But I do believe in it takes money to make money.
It absolutely does, Gary. And you have to remember,
put a couple of lots in, I know I'm going to get a decent amount out.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is, I've made 77,000 US in 2 hours off a 30 grand account of 40 lots. The money's there to be made. 40 lots isn't a big size. 30 grand's not a big account. So the money's there to be made if the opportunity is right. And just before, when we were chatting, before we started recording, what's my mantra? Right at the right time.
Yeah, correct.
But then you have to trust yourself implicitly to think you are right at the right time, because, more often than not, you'll be right at the right time. Doesn't necessarily make you money. And oftentimes you'll be wrong. And I've learned the hard way about being wrong. Absolutely. I generally haven't had a problem with getting out of losses, but when I convince myself I know more than the market, or I let that ego crop in and it's like, well, I know what that should do to the market. That's when you set up for your biggest, kind of losses, because you're trying to outthink the market or think you know more. The market will always win. It will always beat you. But, in the end, but what I'm saying is, it really does kind of revolve around, for me, identifying a certain type of trade with a certain type of movement, a certain type of conditions. We have to do that, relatively quickly. And that takes a long time to build up the confidence and to be able to trust yourself that you're doing the right thing for you at the right time. So what I've found with retail is, I want to use this strategy. I want to use this indicator with that indicator. I only trade, when it's above the 20-day moving average and this, you can fool yourself into thinking technical analysis is the only way. I mean, if technical analysis was so guaranteed, we'd all have algorithms, or maybe that's what AI is doing. There's much more to trading than just the technical side. Technical, you could be the best technical analyst in the world and still make no money trading. And, I spent a lot of time falling into that trap of, if I just knew more, I'd be a better trader. And, the way I kind of got about that, just went back to what motivated me, what kind of makes me unique as a person, and that ability to take time. And it's like, well, let's see how much time, how little time I can spend in the markets, how much size I can put in. And that's, again, remember, that's just not one type of scalp trade. And, see if I can do it. Because I've seen other people do it, traders much better than me do it. The pro traders do it. And that's how a certain very small minority of some of the best traders. And I'm not talking about, fund managers, that kind of stuff. I'm talking about pro floor traders. It's a very specific thing, how they've made phenomenal amounts of money. When I saw it happen, all I tried to do was replicate it. And then when I got to a certain point, I wanted to then replicate it. And as I've told you before, go for what you wish for. When you're someone like myself on the floor, and as I say, I was never the trader I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be, the next big thing. And I didn't get there. So the floor was quite a difficult place for me because you turn up every day and you do your best. And like me, you might make a couple of grand or 10 grand in a day, like I have. And then someone's making $1 million. It's like, at a certain point, I had to accept that I was going to be that level. Then I would have done it. And that's why I came off the floor. And it wasn't because it was an exciting environment. It wasn't because, of anything else. It was because I needed to be alone with me, alone with my thoughts. I had to see what I could do. And I felt that was best. The best way to do it is be on my own. I'm a bit of a lone wolf. And I think a lot of traders are. It's a lonely game. And, that's when I just started focusing on myself, my own goals, my own aspirations. That's when I started to, to do what I wanted to do. And, as I say, it's all in the book. I got to a level that I'm comfortable with, a level that people say, wow, that's an amazing, what huge amounts of money, but not really. The markets are bigger than they've ever been. There's the opportunity to make as much money as you want in the markets right now. But again, it comes down to, as you said, money makes money. And, for me, it really comes down to what you're happy with. I don't want to be a billionaire. I know billionaires, and that's not life for me. I got to a point where I'm contented with what I'm willing to put into myself and trading and what I got out of it. And I think that's the hardest part for a lot of people when they trade is they don't know when to stop. They don't know when enough's enough. They don't know what they're capable of. I've only found out what I was capable of by pushing it as far as I could, mentally, and kind of as much pain as I could possibly take. And then, taking some hits and coming back down to here, building it back up. But yeah, I think I know from a trading as a retail perspective how far I can push myself, how far I'm willing to go. It's pretty far, but I don't want to go any further. So to make the more money, I'm either going to have to spend a lot more time trading or change something in my strategy. And that's just not what I want to do. I've reached the level that I'm happy at. And I think, that's really what kind of resounds through the book. I didn't necessarily be the best, which is hard for someone like me. But then, I'm just a bloke from Bolton. Did I ever think I was going to be the best? I don't know. But I gave it a go. And the level I got to, I still got all the attributes of the trading success. But I'm reasonably happy with the time I have out of life and the amount of money I can make in the time I do it. So I don't know. Maybe that's just part of being a father, growing up, part of your journey. I'm reasonably happy with the level I've achieved at trading, and that has to just be enough for you sometimes.
No, I agree.
That has to be enough.
So when you brought in the book and you're saying it's more on the mindset, is it because you've calmed down that way that you wrote that book?
I had something to say, if I'm being honest, Gary, and you can't say it in a tweet. So there's lots of things I think about the world, lots of things I think about what people perceive trading to be. I've got a fairly, it's not completely unique, but it's fairly unique. I've done a lot of stuff in the industry. So I haven't necessarily calmed down. Maybe, I've calmed down from my younger trader days, but I'm more at peace with what I can achieve. And I think that's something that a lot of retail traders never find. They always feel like, oh, well, next time I'll do this. Or if only I'd have done that. How many times have we all said that? If only I'd done this. If only I'd been on that move. If only I'd done more size on that move. Well, I don't have that.
Because they're gambling. They're not
potentially
gambling.
Well, I mean, if you have regrets about a trade and you feel like you missed out, we could all have made more. Yeah. That's just the rule of life. We could always done something better. But I've got to a point where I've made the kind of money that I thought, was worthy of the time and effort I put into trading. And I'm fine with that. I've done it when it's counted on numerous occasions. I've done it when it counted. Have I missed things? Yes. Have I done things where I've got out too early? Yes. Have I put too much risk on? Yes. Have I put too much size on? Yes. But I've done it. and I've learned from it. And I am where I am, where I can click 100 lots as easy as someone can click one lot.
Yeah.
And I've done thousands of lots in trades, you know? And once you've done it, doesn't necessarily mean you can do it again. And I think people are always searching from a retail perspective of how you take things to that next level. And it's a journey. And it's about understanding lots of different things that are much more than understanding a chart, understanding the economics, the news, what's being said. There's lots of things you have to understand about the markets, about the world, making money in general, the difference between money and wealth, and what your place in that is and what you can achieve. So there's lots of things I've tried to guide through in the book of my journey, how I figured things out, what made me tick, what I got right, what I got wrong, and how I got to the point I am. It's not like I just turned up with trading, gone like, right, 200 lots on that. Everybody has a bit of a journey. But then when you get to a point where you can trust yourself and, you know, you can do the size that, you know, and see what that size does in the markets. You know, you've done it and you've got something to build on, or at least you can keep that momentum going, because worst thing I could ever think of is going back to trading and just saying, right, well, I'm gonna 5 lot trade on 20 pip stop and sit there watching it for an hour. That isn't who I am as a trader. That's not who I want to be. So I can't do that, and I won't do that. But then the flip side is, you know, then you're always looking for the opportunity where you could put the most size in, which is obviously, you know, you have to be patient, you have to wait. So you've got to balance lots of things up as a trader. But if you're willing to wait the time, you've got to put the size on. If you want to trade all the time, trade small, make little bits of money, compound it. I'm not saying that's a bad way to trade. Trade with a stop. I'm not saying that's a bad way to trade. Okay. Everyone starts somewhere. But I'm saying this is after 20 years, this is where I am. And the book really is the 10 years after the Rough Guide to Trading. And, you know, just what I wanted to say. It's as simple as that. You know, I'm expecting some people will get it, some people won't. I'm expecting some people to get on the soapbox to say, you can't do this, you can't do that. You know, rules. Whose rules?
Well, there isn't any.
All the world's trying to do at the minute is put you in a box and surround you with rules and red tape. You know, at some point you've got to say, well, you know, not his mom, his biggest fan, Elon Musk, but what rules does he play by? Well, that's why he's a billionaire. As I said, I don't think I'm ever going to be a billionaire, but yes, rules are the rules you choose to use based upon, you know, what you do. You know, I think what we're doing at the minute is, and again, I can't say too much, I don't want to kind of, you know, start reading the book out, but they don't teach people to be free thinkers anymore. They don't teach people to be, you know, confident in themselves and go out. You know, all people are being taught is to be drones. And you see that with the education. You see that with the level of, you know, quality of things that are being put out on Twitter and TikTok. It's like some guy driving up in his Lamborghini that he's tired for the day and like, I'm a Forex trader. You know, it's all perception. You know, this is hard. It's a hard job. It's not physically hard because all you're doing is clicking the mouse button, but it's mentally hard. And you have to train yourself in certain ways and ask yourself difficult questions. I've asked myself them difficult questions, and I've not always liked the answer of who I actually am. Because yeah, I could be happy, you know, jokey Steve Ruffley, you know, have banter. But, you know, there's a lot going on inside my head, and I have to deal with that. And that's my problem to deal with. You know, that's my problem, how I deal with my emotions, how I don't necessarily fight with my emotions. I almost harness them. And it's not what you think. What's going on in my head is not what people think. And when you trade the size I do, it's a different way of dealing with things than the investing kind of, you know, philosophy where, you know, you put your stop in, you let a trade run, you don't look at your P&L, and, you know, if you lose this, then, you know, you lose this. That's not what you do in very short-term trading. You can't do it that way. It's almost like the exact opposite. But until you've done it, how do you know? You don't know. Because you haven't done it. And most of the people out there selling stuff haven't done it either. So I'm just telling you, the book is about what I've done, what I know, and what I've seen, and how I've done it, and how I deal with it. And it's not how I deal with it might necessarily help people. They might find it quite disturbing. What they'll have to do is ask themselves their own questions of how they might deal with it. So again, it's a lot about, I'm not going to sit there and say it's about psychology. It's about a mindset of how you understand yourself. And I'm not a psychologist. All I am is a trader who can talk to other traders, and a trader who's taught myself to get what I want out of trading. And yes, as I say, I didn't get to the top, but if you're somewhere in the middle or wherever I am towards the bottom, you're not too bad. So again, it's all really about that kind of process and journey. So I'd be interested to see. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, I've sent you a book. You'll get that tomorrow. Have a read. This is just a bit of a chat, really, just to kind of...
Yeah, and believe it or not,
just see a different perspective.
Because a lot of the time when you see a podcast, it's quite generic. But to listen to somebody's thoughts, I think is great about the struggles, the stress, and how you're supposed to keep, well, I suppose, like a swan. You're smooth on the surface, but you're paddling like hell underneath. You know, nobody ever tells you.
Absolutely. No one ever tells you these things. And a lot of people won't tell you because they can't tell you, because they haven't been from it. You know, they haven't been through it. They haven't done it. And again, like I said, you know, I can be calm and collective, you know, in front of the screen. And, you know, I'm not there throwing my mouse around. You know, I'm not screaming, which I've seen on the floor. I've seen all this. I've never done it. That was not my style, but I've seen people do that. But yeah, I mean, inside your mind, you know, there's a lot of things going on. When you're talking about, you know, seeing your P&L swings in, you know, thousands of pounds in seconds, you know, that there's a certain way you have to deal with that as a trader. And I'm saying, I've explained the way I do it. I'm not saying that's how everyone's going to do it, because everyone's different. But, you know, if you want to get to that level, you're making the big money in short periods of time, then you've got to be prepared for what that comes with. You know, there's no easy money, mate. As you know, there's quick money, but there's no easy money.
I'm not even sure whether it's quick money, to be honest, because it takes a lot of education behind before you press that button. So...
Well, it is. And as I've said, some people will never get to the point where they can press that button. And at the end of the day, it's only numbers. It's just numbers. But once you put a pound or a dollar sign in front of that, everybody changes. Everybody changes.
No, I totally agree with that. You know, my gran used to say something, money will see you out. And she always meant it'll show the true character of a person. You know,
absolutely.
It's amazing what money does to people.
It is. And, you know, the market, it is scary. And, you know, I think, you know, what I kind of, you know, the more I've done this kind of stuff is like the more people chase this expectation that if you put all this effort in, you're going to be rewarded. You know, the trading doesn't work like that. You know, it doesn't reward the smartest. It doesn't reward the people that want it the most. It really doesn't. It might do after a long period of time, but it isn't that, you know, like you put your money in, you fund your account, you read a couple of books, you know, you'll sit there, you'll have your 3-mile jog before and you'll sit down. Market doesn't care. It will still take your money just like everybody else's. So what's your edge? How are you going to, you know, get all over the market? And as I say, my job is not to beat the market. My job is just to be better than retail. That's it. I'm just going to be better than your average guy out there. And I'll take my little bit and let the big guys, you know, with all their tools, all their money. And remember the years they put into it. You don't get to be a hedge fund manager, you know, by accident. You know, and I'm not saying it's an easy job. I mean, all the demonized, you know, traders and bankers and that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, they're just doing the job. They didn't do it. Someone else would do it. Doesn't, you know, you can't focus on what other people do. You can only focus on what you can do. And that for me is just being a little bit better than your average retail trader, understanding what pushes their buttons, understanding how, you know, the big guys can, you know, manipulate the markets to a certain extent and what their goals are, and then just find my happy place in you know, in my head, find the kind of conditions I want to trade, apply the trade that I've done a million times to that condition, and try and make some money. So yeah, I get it. Yeah, a lot of my things people won't like. They won't like the idea of not using stops. But when you trade a scalp average like I do, it's impossible to use a stop. I'd have to automate it, and I don't want to do it anyway. So I have to use a monetary stop, and people won't like that. Don't care. Not my problem. I'm not here to be liked. I'm not here to say I've got it all figured out. I'm not here to say I'm the best trader in the world. I'm not. I'm just the best at figuring out, Steve Ruffley, what's going on in that head. And if anyone that knew me would know that's a pretty difficult job.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And, you know, I don't take pride in saying that. You know, I'm a very simple guy, but also, yeah, I'm a pretty complicated guy in my head. And that's, you know, why I've been able to do the things I've been able to do. And if I was put together differently, you know, who knows where I'd be? You know, maybe wouldn't be a trader. You know, maybe I'd be something else. I don't know. But, you know, you find yourself in the position where you are, and you have to just keep going and trust in yourself and find ways to reinforce that what you're doing is right for you. And, you know, the market is a great way to keep score. Money is a great way to keep score. And if you're doing it right and it works for you, doesn't matter, does it?
Nah, not really. Not really. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to speak candidly. I genuinely do. The book's out this month, end of the month.
26th of November. You can pre-order now on Amazon. But yeah, it's out on the 26th of November. I've got my copies here because obviously I'm the author.
Mine will be shortly, don't you worry.
Yours will be there tomorrow. So yeah, I'm interested to get some feedback because it was 2 years of solid writing, not solid writer, but that was my main kind of dedicated time to writing it. But I've been thinking about it for the last 10 years, and it's pretty much finished in January. But it took a year to get to this point from the publishing perspective. It's not that lots had to be changed. It's a whole process now. There's lots of different people that need to go through different things. So yeah, I've been sitting on it for the best part of a year. So I'm looking forward to somebody reading it and just, again, being candid. And
I'm genuinely looking forward to it. But just finally, because I've been banging on an hour, I could talk to you all night, to be honest. But
this is the problem, mate. I don't have many people to talk to.
Get into it and away we go.
Yeah.
But when you're writing this book and you're putting it into your heart and soul and one thing and another, did you, how do I word this? Did you write it in a different way to the way you wrote the rough guide? Because your rough guide is
I did.
This feels more like it's gut feeling. It's who Steve Ruffley is.
Yeah, I mean, the rough guide to trading was exactly that. It was a combination of all the kind of things, to that point that I'd learned. The thing that any person could pick up, trader or not, and read it and think, yeah, okay, I kind of get what trading is about, a bit more now. But this is a bit more about my journey. So I think I'm trying to write it to fill in the gaps of what people don't know, because it's clear to me as a lot of people don't know even what a pro trader is. They think it's the Wolf of Wall Street, and that's nonsense. He wasn't a trader; he was a crook, but amusing anyway. But yeah, it's trying to fill in the gaps of
No, carry on. I was going to say
it's trying to fill in the gaps. Really,
read the book and then shout about it as loud as they like. How's that?
Yeah, I think it's trying to fill in the gaps of what I know and what I know others have been through. And it's how you take that next step. Anyone could read the rough guide to trading, put money into account and trade. That's where that will take them. Where this is for people that already trade and maybe want to think about things in a different way, fill the gaps in of things that nobody else has been able to tell them because they've maybe not gone through them. And that's what I'm saying. It's really what I am, is a pro retail trader. So I make my money from retail trading. The only difference is, I'm not DMA. I'm a retail platform. The mindset and the things are similar. And as I said, if I wanted to have made the really big money, I'd have to have stayed a pro. There's a limit to how much money I can make as a retail trader. And I've pushed that as far as I can, I think, for me. And I'm happy with that. So it's almost like not job done. This isn't like, 10 years after the first book, this is it, I'm finished, no more to give. This is just the difference of what I did in the 10 years after the rough guide.
Superb. I'm really looking forward to it. I genuinely am. And I'm pretty certain the guys will be excited for it as well. So
that's all I can do, Gary. It's out there now. It's done. I can't take it back. So it's out for the world.
I'm sure it'll
make of it what they will.
I'm sure it will, because the rough guide was truly excellent. It truly was. And if this is a step up, it'll be fine.
Well, it's a different thing.
Excellent. All right, then. I genuinely appreciate you coming because I know you're a busy man, and thank you very much.
No problem, Gary. Speak to you soon, mate.
Excellent. And that was Steve Ruffley sharing his thoughts of his experiences in the markets, which personally I find quite fascinating. He's had a tremendous career in trading, and the essence of that is in the two books that he has. The first one, Rough Guide to Trading, and obviously the new one that you've just seen expressed in this interview. So check it out, and I do value your thoughts. If you've read it, drop it down in the comments, tell me what you think. Always happy to respond and see what you guys are up to. So as always, trade well, keep the risk managed, but above all, do what you love, and the money will follow. See you all in the next one.